No matter how many times you save the world, it always manages to get back in jeopardy again. I mean, sometimes I just want it to stay saved, for a little bit. I feel like the maid. I just cleaned up this mess. Can we keep it clean for 10 minutes?
You get to that point.
At its root, pride is the desire to look down on everyone else. The refusal to recognise and admit the presence, equality, or even superiority of any other being. While classically being seen as the worst sin a human can commit, this definition also seems to perfectly describe the acceptable and expected behaviour for superheroes within films. Superheroes look down on the normal members of society. They literally are superior to any other being, so it's no surprise that they act accordingly. Superheroes embody the deadly sin of pride. But do their heroic actions actually justify their inflated sense of pride? The idea that they are above everyone else? In this video essay, I will explore the hubris of the superheroes who act with no regard for civilian damage by analysing my favourite superhero film of all time, The Incredibles. The film investigates one of the biggest problems with superhero pride and hubris. In the cinema, there is an accepted staple of the superhero narrative, the fundamental correctness of the inner-directed morality of the hero. It is assumed that just because these individuals are strong, fast, or incredible in some way, that they will always be in the right and should have the freedom to make decisions that affect the whole world based on what they personally desire. How many civilians must die as superheroes fight for their own personal goals? Cities get destroyed, but it doesn't matter as long as the hero manages to defeat the villain and get what they want personally. This idea is deconstructed in The Incredibles, when Mr. Incredible saves a man from committing suicide who didn't want to be saved. Mr. Incredible sees the man falling and decides it's the right thing to do to save him, but the film questions whether he should be allowed to save someone who doesn't want to be saved. The issue isn't that he saved the man, as of course it does seem like the right thing to do, but that he had the power to decide to do it himself without having to answer to anyone else, least of all the individual that he exercised power over. His pride means he believes he has the right to make life and death decisions for everyone below him. Mr. Incredible even says,
I think you'll come to forgive me.
which shows that he thinks he knows best simply because he has powers. Mr. Incredible's actions cause the government to ban superheroes, so they must now try and fit into normal society, no longer allowed to act spectacularly. They now suffer from a repression of their desire to achieve recognition through their talents. It becomes clear that while the supers, and Mr. Incredible particularly, may genuinely want to help people, they were also always chasing the spotlight and worship that they received from the police and the general public. Mr. Incredible literally can't fit into normal life. He is incredibly proud. He has an office with all of the newspaper clippings about himself from the glory days. He is his own biggest fan. He can't stand by and be normal. He knows he is better than everyone else, and he needs to prove it. So much so that he celebrates that there is a fire going on, as it gives him an opportunity to be a hero again. While this scene is done for comedy, it really throws into question his inner morality, if a chance to show off his power is more valuable than the lives that might be lost in that fire. To try and regain his sense of pride, he begins working for an unknown weapons developer that he knows nothing about. He puts himself and his pride above his family and potentially the safety of the whole world. He would happily trade the chance to prove he is superior to everyone for helping a completely unknown entity create a weapon of mass destruction that could easily kill countless civilians. He asks no questions and just enjoys being Mr. Incredible again, superior to everyone. Now, to an extent, Mr. Incredible does get over his pride. In the beginning, the problem was that he used to work exclusively alone, acting as the ever-flattering companion of himself. But he learns to trust and work with his family, somewhat alleviating his pride and the idea that he is superior to absolutely everyone else. However, he still sees himself as above the rest of the world, and his success in the heroic action of the film only reinforces this idea. He ends the film back on top again as the superior being, Mr. Incredible. So while the film does begin to deconstruct the idea of the inner morality of the superhero and does challenge Mr. Incredible's pride, overall it ultimately supports the notion that superheroes are above normal people, and their inflated sense of the most deadly sin of all is entirely justified.
And when I'm old and I've had my fun, I'll sell my inventions so that everyone can be superheroes. Everyone can be super. And when everyone's super, no one will be.